Try something with me for a second. Picture every bird you've laid eyes on in the last week. The ones bickering over your feeder, the pigeons working the sidewalk, the little brown things that explode out of a hedge when you walk past. Add them up. Dozens easily, probably hundreds if you stop to count. Now answer me this. When was the last time you saw one of them dead? Not roadkill, not a window strike on your porch. A bird just lying there in the open, the way you'd expect to find one if birds died the way everything else seems to. Most people search their whole memory and come up with almost nothing. A lifetime of birds and barely a single body. That's strange, because birds are dying constantly. Right now, somewhere close to you, several of them are running out of time. So if death is that common and bodies are that rare, then something is making the evidence disappear fast, quietly, and almost perfectly. I'm going to show you exactly what that something is. And stick around, because the last part isn't about how bodies vanish at all. It's about a handful of species that appear to notice when one of their own is gone and behave in a way that looks unsettlingly familiar. Welcome back. Today we're following the bird that doesn't come home, where it goes, who gets there first, and why you were never going to find it. Let's get the scales straight, because the gap between how often birds die and how often we see it is enormous. For most small songbirds, the first year of life is brutal. Across a lot of species, somewhere around half, and for some, more than half of every spring's young are dead before the next spring arrives. Predators, weather, starvation, disease, the windows and roads we've scattered across their world. The cheerful chaos at your feeder is not a stable cast of characters. It's a revolving door. The faces turn over far faster than we register because one chickadee looks a lot like the next. Multiply that turnover across the billions of birds living on this continent, and you land on a number with a lot of zeros. Plenty of death to go around. So the question isn't whether they're dying near you. They are. The question is why the aftermath is invisible, and it comes down to 3 disappearing acts. Here's the first one, and it's the most overlooked. A healthy bird wants to be where it can see trouble coming, open branches, lawn edges, the airspace over your yard. Visibility is survival. But a bird that's sick, injured, or simply worn out flips that logic completely. When a bird can't trust its own reflexes anymore, the open becomes the most dangerous place it can be. So it does the opposite of what it did all its life. It goes to ground. It pushes into the thickest, darkest cover it can reach. The tangled base of a shrub, deep grass, the dead leaves under a hedge. This isn't a decision in the way we'd make one. It's an old reflex. Can't outrun the threat, so hide from it. But the effect is quietly profound. The exact spot a dying bird picks to hide its living body is the spot that hides its body afterward. It tucks itself into the one place you will never, ever look. You walk past these places every single day. The overgrown corner of the yard, the gap under the porch, the brush along the trail. If you got down on your hands and knees and parted the stems at the bottom of every shrub on your street, you would find them. But nobody does that. So the bird was never visible to begin with, not because it was removed, but because it chose a grave you'd never check. Now suppose a bird does die in the open. On the grass, the driveway, the path. You'd think that one, at least, you'd find. You won't because of the cleanup crew, and they work fast. The first responders are tiny. Ants, beetles, blowflies. In warm weather, they find a fresh carcass within minutes and get to work immediately, and a small body has very little to work with. But the bigger erasers are the ones we never think of as scavengers, because we picture them doing other things. Your neighbor's cat is the obvious one. Free-roaming cats in the United States are estimated to kill somewhere between 1.3 and 4 billion birds a year. But killing isn't the whole story. A cat that finds a bird already dead on a lawn at 3 in the morning isn't going to walk past a free meal. And cats patrol on a schedule that happens to be exactly when you're asleep. Then the rest of the night shift clocks in. Raccoons, opossums, skunks, foxes, opportunists who don't care how fresh it is. Crows and jays scanning their turf all day for anything edible. Even squirrels, who will absolutely eat meat when winter makes protein scarce. Put all of them together, and a small body left in the open is rarely a body for long. Researchers who study this have to revisit the same spots several times a day just to catch the deaths before the evidence is gone. So the timeline is unforgiving. A bird dies overnight, which many do because the cold hours are when a failing body finally can't hold its heat. By the time you've had your coffee, the lawn is empty. The death happened. The proof was collected and carried off while you slept. You're not looking at an absence of death. You're looking at the clean floor after the clean-up. And then there's the category that never produces a body at all because the bird is eaten as it dies, somewhere you'll never be standing. A huge share of birds don't die of old age or illness. They're caught. And a kill, by its nature, doesn't leave a tidy carcass on your lawn. A sharp-shinned hawk snatches a small bird out of the air and carries it off to a private perch to eat. A Cooper's hawk hits your feeder and all you get is the aftermath. A sudden burst of feathers on the grass, the predator already gone, and within the hour those feathers blowing away or getting tugged into someone's nest as lining. Owls are quieter still. A screech owl or great horned owl takes a roosting bird in full darkness, eats it where you'll never see, and hours later coughs up a neat pellet of the bones and feathers it couldn't digest, usually somewhere far from where the bird actually died. The only trace of the whole event is a little gray lump under a tree, and unless you know what you're looking at, you step right over it. Foxes, weasels, cats again, same pattern. The predator removes the bird and the scene in one motion. Death without a crime scene. So stack the three acts together. The dying hide themselves away. The dead in the open are gone within hours, and the hunted vanish before they ever hit the ground. For you to actually find a dead bird, you'd need one to die in the open in a spot you look at closely inside the narrow window before the cleanup crew arrives. That alignment is rare, which is why your gut feeling "I never see them" is exactly right. The ecology is just faster than your attention, so that's where the bodies go. But before you click away, I want to leave you with the part that genuinely changes how I think about all this. Because for a few birds, death isn't only something that gets erased. It's something that gets noticed. For a long time, the assumption was that birds have no concept of death at all. The crows keep complicating that. Researchers at the University of Washington ran a now famous set of experiments. Present wild crows with a dead crow and watch what happens. The crows didn't shrug it off. They gathered. They raised the alarm, drew in others, and stayed, a loud, agitated crowd around the body. People started calling them funerals. But the scientists landed on something colder and honestly more interesting. The crows seemed to be gathering to learn, not to grieve, but to ask a question. What happened here, and how do I not be next? The evidence is in what they do afterward. Most crows wouldn't even go near the corpse. And the place where they found a dead crow, they treated it as marked, wary of that spot for a long time after, even with food sitting right there. They saw a death, filed it as a danger, and updated the map in their heads. Other corvids carry the theme. Scrub jays will break into harsh alarm calls and pull others in when they come across a dead jay. There are repeated reports of magpies laying bits of grass over a dead companion, a gesture with no clear survival payoff that looks to us uncomfortably like a rite. Should we call any of this mourning? The scientists are careful, and so am I, because those words carry a lot of human freight. But here's what isn't in dispute. These birds don't ignore their dead. They respond, consistently, socially, and in ways complicated enough that we're still arguing about what's going on behind their eyes. So the full answer to where dead birds go is two answers at once. Most of them slip into cover, into the cleanup crew, into a hawk's talons, and out of the world without a trace, pure, efficient ecology. But for a few, death leaves a different kind of mark. Not a body, a memory carried by the ones still flying. Next time it crosses your mind how odd it is that you never find them, now you know. They were there the whole time. You were just never looking in the right place, in the right hour, before the world tidied up. Do me a favor down in the comments. Have you ever actually found one? What was it and where? I read all of these. I'll see you in the next one.